I call to order this meeting of the Stow-Munroe Falls City School District Board of Education on Monday, August 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Here.
Merlidi,
Here.
Sheehan,
Here.
Sudonik,
Here.
Wind.
Here. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everything we do is designed to provide a future-ready, student-centered learning experience for every single child. Our strategic plan for 2021 through 2026 will help us accomplish this goal by considering every facet of a student's learning experience, from curriculum to infrastructure to wellness and everything in between. As members of the Board of Education, we serve as trustees. Therefore, this is a business meeting being conducted in public, not a public meeting. We are grateful to serve an engaged community and therefore encourage and respect input from citizens. We expect that everyone present will behave in a manner consistent with the behavior we expect of our students. We reserve the right to have those who do not comply removed from our meeting. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start this evening's superintendent's report with some thank yous and some accolades. I want to start first with thanking our staff for a great opening for our school convocation. There were many hands that were involved in the convocation. We thanked them at the meeting, but we really want to give a shout out to all of our staff members, as well as our board members who were there in attendance. Also with our partnerships with the mayor's office, Rotary, our sponsors were Acme, as well as Young's Printing. So we want to thank everyone for a great school opening. Also, to kick off our school opening, we have our back to school dashboard. Information was sent out to parents, sharing information because tomorrow we are back in business. Students will return on campus tomorrow, and we are doing staggered starts. So students in grades 1 through 5, 7, 9, only will participate in school on tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, all students will return from grades 1 through 12. Our little kindergartners will be here on August 26th, and our little bulldogs will start on August 27th. I please ask that all parents access the Back to School dashboard. Has lots of useful information for your needs and can answer those questions in one-stop shopping. We had the opportunity to have our back to school bash, which was Saturday from 10 to 1. Again, I would like to thank all staff who participated, our board members, and a special thank you to Christy Pro for being engaged with our community partners, getting everything set up, our athletic department, also our building and grounds and transportation. And again, shout out to all of our staff members who came out, gave of their time, and greeted our families. And a special shout out to the mayor who was part of the dunk tank and helped us raise a lot of funds, and also Mr. Dietrich and Mr. Love. And so we are glad that they're here because we told them they had to stay healthy after the dunk tank. And then thank you to all of our sponsors and participants on Saturday as well. Now we'd like to start out with some of our congratulations with our students who were involved in several activities over the summer. As we say, school is always a year-round business. And so I'm going to start with asking the speech and debate team to join me on stage. And Mr. Miller will share a little bit about what they were involved in over the summer.
Hey, Jimmy. Can you grab the mic?
I think we're on now. Okay, so my name is Jimmy Miller. I am the head coach of the speech and debate program over at the high school. I've been in coaching the program for 13 years, head coach for 6 years, ever since Miss Suzanne Tyson retired in 2020. The students that you see here today, and CC Latimer, I believe, is going to be a couple minutes late, so hopefully she sneaks into the photo here. The students here today, as well as two students who graduated, Trey Dickerhoof and Griffin Moore, were fortunate enough to be some of our national qualifiers here for the National Speech and Debate Tournament. It is a national tournament that is annually the world's largest academic competition. Before I kind of reveal, I guess, like how these students performed, I just wanted to kind of reiterate the scope of how difficult it is for these students just to get to the national tournament. In order to like join the team, you first have to conquer a fear that most people are more afraid of than heights or spiders or death in some cases, which is public speaking. So just to join the team, you have to kind of conquer that fear of public speaking. And then you have to wake up every Saturday, most Saturdays, from mid-October to February, at very early hours on Saturday morning. And then you have to get on a very cold bus, ride off to some high school far, far away, and compete against some of the nation's toughest student competitors. Here in Eastern Ohio, we have one of the country's toughest districts in America, and our students continue to annually perform very, very well. So again, just to kind of offer some scope on what it takes to get there. When we have our district tournament every year in February, the students are usually competing against roughly 50 other contestants in their competitive category, and they are vying for one of 3 to potentially 4 slots as a national qualifier. Okay, so in order just to get there, you have to be one of the top 3 or 4 in your competitive category, and you're going up against 50 speakers. So just to get there, it's a really, really tough road. There are some alternative routes to nationals, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate how difficult it can be. So first, I'm going to start with Cece and Otis, Cece Latimer and Otis Schoenberg. They are our duo interpretation team. They were octa finalists at the national tournament. I brought some notes here with me to make sure that I got it right. They are 33rd in the country this year, out of roughly 200 plus competitors who were nationally qualified. So that was a great achievement for them. This is actually the second consecutive season that they've actually made it to that octa final round. So we are really, really, really proud of them. Additionally, we have Joshua Jordan here in Lincoln Douglas debate. Joshua was one of the top 48 in the country, making it to 3 days of competition for the first time that we've ever had anybody in Lincoln Douglas debate advance that far. So we're really proud of that. And then we have Jackson Moore. Jackson finished 11th in the nation out of 238 contestants, becoming our marking the third consecutive year that we have had a national semifinalist in one of the speech categories. And that also means that Jackson is already nationally qualified for next season. So he will be joining us next year in Richmond, Virginia. Of course, we hope everybody here on stage and all of our student contestants are that way as well. So again, we're really, really proud of this team. I really do think that we are kind of on the precipice of something special as a program, and we're really excited to kickstart this next season. So let's give a hand to Cece, Otis, Jackson, and Joshua.
So congratulations again to the speech and debate team. And so we want to grant you a small token for your team. And so we used some proceeds from Foodie Palooza, and we are honoring you with $2,000 for your speech and debate team. So we wanted to give it to you tonight. And next, we'd like to do congratulations for our FCCLA National Competition. I'm going to ask Ms. Armstrong to come up and share who we have here tonight and what the competition was all about.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, it might be tough to follow the speech and debate team up here. But yeah, I'm here with 3 of my FCCLA students tonight. So if you're not familiar with FCCLA, it stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. It's a nationwide student organization with over 240,000 students involved nationwide, so it's huge. And our students, if you don't know what they do, they compete at the regional, the state, and the national level. What they do is they compete in what's called career development events. So it's an FCS based organization. So the events that they can choose from range from interior design to cooking related competitions, to FCCLA related competitions and events. So yeah, we had the privilege of taking 5 students to nationals this year in Orlando, Florida. So they qualified not only at the regional level to attend states in Columbus, but also at the state level. They qualified, and to do that, they have to place in the top 2 in the state, which is a pretty big accomplishment. So here we have Stella Haynes and Sophia Pecoraro, if you guys want to come on up. So these 2 competed in level 2 interior design, where they had a prompt to create a space based on a rubric, and they placed very well at the national level. So they placed in the top 10 overall, which is incredibly hard to do when you're competing against 49 other states. So they did incredible. And then we have Anisha Barua, if you want to come on up. So Anisha's counterpart, Cameron, is not here because she had her first varsity tennis match of the season tonight. But Anisha and Cameron competed in Promote and Publicize FCCLA at the level 3, which is juniors and seniors. And basically that event is essentially creating like a marketing plan to explain and promote what FCCLA is, not only at our school, but also in the community. And Cameron and Anisha placed first overall at the national level, which is really, really incredible. And there was some stiff competition. So yeah, super proud of them and looking forward to what's to come this year. Great job, you guys.
And last but not least, we want to congratulate our Invention Convention team. And so I'm going to ask Coach Jessica Martinez to come up and share.
Hi. Hi, thank you all for being here. My name is Jessica Martinez, and I teach 5th grade math, science, self-contained gifted at Lakeview. This is my 4th year at Lakeview. For the past 3 years, I've taught a class called Invention Convention through the Ohio Invention League, which takes students through the process of creating an invention or building upon an innovation. And we go through, identifying a problem, researching, looking through patents to ensure that their idea has not already been created, building the invention, testing, refining, creating a presentation. So just the entire process of creating an invention. And this takes place about from like November through April. Once students are completed, then we proceed to go through the competition part. So they need to be recorded, and then those videos are uploaded to the Ohio Invention League, where they participate in the regional competition. So you're talking about 900 students in the state of Ohio that will compete in regionals. So I'm very proud because we have of the 13 students that participated, I have 3 that won. So of 900 students in the state of Ohio, 3 of ours from Stowe have won. So I want them to come up here so we can congratulate them and I can tell you what they won. So Jace, if you want to come up, Lula and Beloved. Sister wants to come too. It's cute. So come on up. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you or you yet. So come on up. So perfect, right in a row. So this is Beloved, and tell them the name of your invention.
Super strain.
So his invention was a super strain, which is a kitchen, like a kitchen kind of appliance, you could say. So Beloved won state finals for his invention. So with that, for his category. So with that, he won 529 scholarship money, an award, and the privilege to participate in U.S. Nationals. So it's a really big accomplishment seeing the amount of students that do participate. So congratulations to Beloved. Jace, your invention?
Mine was called the Quiet Cup.
Quiet Cup, and Jace won regionals for our region, which is Northern Region. He also won 529 scholarship money and an award for his invention. And Lula?
My invention was called the Grip No Slip Hair Tie.
And Lula won Best New Inventor of the Year. Only 2 of those awards are given out for all the students that participate. So these are really big accomplishments. I'm so proud of how well they did, because with the sheer volume, of people participating, to have 3 winners to represent Lakeview and Stowe, it's just a huge accomplishment to see how the program, been able to grow the program over these 3 years. I'm just really so proud and so happy to be here. And thank you to the board for allowing me to share this huge accomplishment. Appreciate it.
I would like to welcome Avery Swanson, our student board representative. We didn't get a chance to make the acknowledgement at our last board meeting, so we want to make sure that we acknowledge that Avery will be joining us as the student board representative for this school year. So let's give Avery a round of applause.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity to be the student board representative. It's something that means a lot to me to be able to make sure that the decisions we make affect all of our students in a positive manner. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to take 30 seconds and say not only congratulations to all of our students who are so involved and creative and amazing, but also thank you to the families who support their extracurricular endeavors and their efforts, but also a huge thank you to all of the folks who coach and assist and navigate all of that with our students to give them that opportunity to really be their best selves. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And now moving into our theme for this year, the Heart of a Bulldog. We're going to have the Heart of Kempton, our school leader, Mr. Dietrich, come and share Kempton's middle school presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Gagliano, Dr. Gould, Ms. Swanson, members of the board. Thank you for having us today. So this is an exciting time And sometimes I get a little nervous up here, and I don't know if it's just because, speaking in front of people or just the excitement of the school year. We look at the future of Kimpton with our invention winners from Lakeview, and we can't wait to see those young people here walking the halls of Kimpton. And to see our speech and debate and our other winners at the high school, it's so great to see because you guys were walking the halls of Kimpton at one time. We talk a lot about how we plant seeds at Kimpton, and oftentimes our teachers don't necessarily reap the benefits of it. But when they're watching board meetings, when they're going to an event, whether it's scholastic, whether it's athletics, performing arts, it's awesome to see our kids and we see those the fruits of that labor. So today I'm going to brag a little bit about Kimpton because going first is great. It's awesome. We get to set the tone for the rest of the schools that come through. And while we don't have anything new right now imminent, what we do have is time to reflect on last year and our successes and ways that we can make our building better. So I first want to start off with our successes, and part of the strategic plan that we like to kind of stick with year in, year out is mission 2, and that's continuous improvement. Some will say if you're not growing, you're dying. So we always want to continue to reflect on our practices and see what can we do to make Kimpton better. Also with mission 6, staff and student wellness, very important in the stages of middle school, where one day, a lot of highs and lows. If any of you have middle schoolers at home, which I do, and you kind of know that feeling. One day, your kids are on top of the world. The next day, they want to lose all their friends and they want to just put their head under the covers and call it a day. So it's very important that we take care of our student wellness, both physical and mental and emotionally. So I'm going to celebrate a little bit with our academic celebrations. Our staff works hard to get the most out of our students. And while state report card data has not become final yet, and we have not seen that, the preliminary reports come out that we have improved from a 3 to a 4-star rating in achievement throughout our building. And that's in the tested areas. That's with our performance index. It's great to see us jump basically an entire star rating. But also with our gap closing. And with that comes a lot of different subcategories of our students. And we hit 8 of 9 subcategories, I believe. And that jumped us up from a rating of 3 to a rating of 5. And we celebrate those successes, and our staff needs to hear that because at times it can be a daunting task to be a middle school teacher and to think you're beating your head against a wall, but kids get it. And sometimes they don't get it right away, and sometimes they don't get it in 7th grade or 8th grade, but they get it when those kids walk that hall coming down for the senior walk in May. It's awesome. When they're walking the stage at the Mack Center in Kent. It's just so great to see. Specifically, our 8th grade math increased 10 percentage points. So we went from a 46 passage rate the year before to a 56 passage rate with our 8th grade math. That's not counting our algebra, that's counting some of our biggest struggles that we have. So it was great to see that we want to celebrate those wins. But also our everyday celebrations in terms of our PBIS. And we reflect in June and we see that, oh, that might not be updated. Can you refresh by any chance? Sorry, a little different from what I had up there, but I'll speak to it while, don't worry about it. We had positive behavior referrals. So our everyday celebrations, we like to recognize our students. And we had 291 positive referrals. And that's just everyday celebrations of, seeing a student who, may have lifted a friend up that day. And we have our staff that will write up that positive behavior reward. And it's great because we get to go around the school and kind of brag about that student. They get a Dairy Queen gift card. They might get, a Little Caesars gift card to get a free pizza. So we celebrated nearly 300 students. Student of the month, we do that on the daily as well. But also our suspensions. Our suspensions decreased nearly 10%. So when looking at the data from the 23 school year to the 24 school year, we noticed that the out-of-school suspension rate dropped by 10%. And then also just the positivity that permeates through Kimpton. And that's something that is not measurable with data, but it is measurable with feeling. People come into our building and at times you can feel the positivity because there's no other way to be. Our kids need that. Our kids deserve that. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to highlight just a few of the things that we have going on that's outside of the classroom, and that is our wellness days and our unified sports. So unified sports has become big in our district, which is awesome. And we have our students with disabilities that peer up or that match up with typical peers, and they go out and they compete. And they compete against other schools, different sports, soccer, basketball, flag football, other things, and it's a lot of fun for our kids. They get some other opportunities. We've had students that have met. Last year, we met some of our Cavs cheerleaders. I believe some of the Scream team was there as well with the Cavs, and also Cleveland Browns. So at one point, I think Coach Stefanski was there with a couple of our kids, and as well as some other players. So our students had a great experience there. And then our wellness days. We'll do a couple of those this year where it's just non-curriculum day during our win period. And it's about 40 minutes where a staff member says, hey, this is something I like to do. If there's kids that want to do, that have an interest in this, we'd like to bring them on board for 40 minutes a day. And we only do that twice a year. It's a lot to put together, but you got someone who loves crocheting. We have staff members that love to crochet. And we have kids that love to crochet. So when they match up for those 40 minutes and put together a finished product, it's pretty neat. Here we got a couple kids doing some cookie making. So we had staff that like to bake and they brought in some cookies and the kids did some cookie making. I got my arm fired up to throw some pitches to kids in home run derby. So we had about 25 kids out back playing home run derby, and it was a lot of fun. So we do a couple of those wellness days. Kimpton Buddies. Kimpton Buddies is awesome. We have a group of kids, around 30 to 40 students that are 8th grade now. Some of them were buddies last year, and some are just going to be influential with our incoming 7th grade. And we try to find those students who need that connection and pair them up with an 8th grade buddy. So with our buddies, we did some training. The folks at Redemption Church up on 59 were awesome to be able to house us there. And that's actually them on the left. They come in and fed our students last year breakfast, which was greatly appreciated and a lot of fun. And then our musical, I threw our musical on there because it's just awesome. Like, I can't tell. I love the performing arts. I love coming to an orchestra concert. I love coming to a band concert, choir, seeing the musical because it's so impressive, because it's something I can't carry a tune, nor can I play an instrument, but to listen to these kids grow from year to year is just outstanding. So just congratulations to those students who put themselves out there on a daily basis. And then we have ROCKS, which is ruling our experiences. We have our Career Compass students, where we try to provide them opportunities. And we have students that need that connection. We have students that need to build that confidence in and out of the classroom. So we thank all of our staff who are involved in this. Like, it's great to see that we just don't have one advisor for each club or group. We have multiple people that are working and willing to help out with our students. Staff-student connections. So we do a lot of fun things here at Kimpton. We have our May Day run, which happens the first Friday in May, and every student is encouraged to come out in some way, shape, or form, complete the 2-mile course through the streets of Monroe Falls. Don't have to run. Some go after it. Some get out there and they want to win the whole thing, including some staff. Not me, but some other staff do. But also walk. You can walk it, walk with your friends, and just have an enjoyable experience. So that May Day run is a lot of fun. And then we have our staff-student games, which can get pretty competitive. We have our field days. You might hear about field day points, and we got to wear spirit this and spirit that, because we got to get our field day points so we can, hoist that banner high at the end of the school year. Connecting with families. That's on the daily. And that's, whether it's Wage Hope postcards home, whether it's phone calls home, whether it's, just greeting people at the door when they come in the office to connect, just to make sure you connect with that family, because that might be the only time that you get a chance to have a conversation with that person. As busy as it is, close to 750 students, it gets busy. So any chance we can to connect with our families is important. Jumpstart is great to start the year. It eases a lot of kids and parents, all right, fears of middle school. And one example of connecting with families is our vape education night. So we've had Dr. Pfeiffer from the high school come down last year, and this was our first year, and we hope to make this a little bit bigger as we move forward just on the dangers of vaping and educating families on that. And connecting with the community, which is similar to connecting with families. Any chance we can, like the Back to School Bash was awesome. Got to see so many families, whether it's past and present, Kimpton families. We host the Spelling Bee, the district-wide Spelling Bee here at Kimpton. And anytime Mayor Probonik gets a chance to talk in front of our kids, he loves it. So we try to drag him here as much as we can. He gave a civics lesson at the end of the year to our 8th grade social studies students. All right, so I'd like to bring up Miss Evelyn Hott, who is, she is not a stranger to anyone. Miss Hott is our next assistant principal here at Kimpton. And yeah, she's been at the high school for some time, but I'm going to turn it over to her and she can do more talking.
Just going to take a minute. I was at the high school for 10 years. I'm excited to have the opportunity to come over here to Kimpton and work with, the wonderful people in this building. Everyone so far has been helpful and kind, and you can just feel the energy in here. The kids are excited to come back to school. The teachers are excited to work with the kids, and I'm just really happy to be able to be a part of this team.
Thanks, Ms. Hott. I'm excited to work with Ms. Hott. It's great. She comes and we just got good ideas flowing together. So super excited to work with you. Yeah. And to finish things off, I've got a link here to our welcome back video. I know this might be impromptu, but there's a member in the audience that recommended that we show this to everyone. Thanks, Mr. Renner, for your advice. And we love to be able to show this if possible. Is there a better time of year? I just can't stop. I just can't stop the feeling. That back to school feeling. Do you? Can't wait to see everybody at Kimpton. So we're excited. We're excited for a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure our 7th and 8th graders are excited to come back. I would hope they have a lot to look forward to this year. Okay, that's everything, correct? Okay, we will take a quick recess to let the students who would not like to stay, although you are welcome to stay, sneak out of the audience real quick. Okay, looks like everyone has settled back down. The next item on our agenda is comments from the audience on voted agenda items. At this time in our agenda, we invite citizens to share their concerns about items on today's agenda that will be voted on only. Comments on non-agenda items will be heard later in the meeting. All comments must be directed to the entire board and be no longer than 3 minutes. We will listen to and consider your remarks, but there will be no conversation aside from clarifying questions. If you are seeking a direct response or further information, we ask that you submit your request in writing. Please begin your remarks with your first and last name.
I have 2 points of order. If anyone's coming up, if they don't, they can sit down if they want, or they can wait. The first was, I noticed on the agenda at the end here where it had next meeting, it says here September 8th, 2025. Are we not having the August 21st meeting?
Yeah, that's the next regular scheduled meeting. The August 21st will be a special meeting.
So, all right, so that wouldn't need to be added to the agenda?
Nope.
Okay. The second point of order is I would like item number 10 stricken from the agenda.
Do you have a motion for that, Mr. Sheehan?
No, it doesn't require a motion. The treasurer does not have any authority to add items to the agenda. So it doesn't require a motion.
You are incorrect, sir.
Well, I have your protocol, and there's no mention of the treasurer adding anything to the agenda or having the authority to.
That does not mean the superintendent and I cannot add items that the treasurer is responsible for. We have treasurer items every meeting.
Right, and those are items that the board president and the treasurer, or the board president and the superintendent ask the treasurer to add. But as far as the treasurer putting an item on, that is not the case. He does not have the authority. The treasurer is an employee. So if the treasurer is able to add things to the agenda, then any teacher would have that same opportunity, as a citizen would have that same opportunity. And again, your protocol does not mention anything about the treasurer putting anything on the agenda. Neither does his duties, 1320. There's nowhere does it say that he can add items to the agenda. And also item 0166, which is board meetings, there's no mention of the treasurer.
The superintendent and the president of the board can place the item on the agenda, which we have.
Okay. Then that's contrary to then what I got from the treasurer. And the treasurer said, I will include on the next agenda a resolution to specifically authorize me to act on behalf of the board with depositories. So that is on record at the district as well as the banks. He says, I will. It doesn't say the board president. It doesn't say the superintendent.
Mr. Sheehan, as the secretary to the Board of Education, I help place items on the agenda as well as some other staff members. So that is why you would see certain items under treasurer's recommendations and treasurer's consent agenda, which probably go back as far as can be on the agendas.
All right, so just I'm getting clear, being that the treasurer is an employee of the district, any teacher is what you're saying then any teacher or citizen from the community can add items to the agenda.
That does not follow, Mr. Sheehan.
All right, well, we have an impasse, so I will just go ahead and make the motion that item 10, I shouldn't need to, but I will make a motion that item 10 be stricken from the agenda.
Is there a second? Seeing none, we will move forward. It is time for comments from the audience. Would anyone who would like to make a comment, please approach the mic. Seeing none, we will move forward to item 7, superintendent.
At this time, I would like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items B through M.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Sudonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye.
I would like to recognize the names and information for the donations listed in the consent agenda and personally thank everyone for their contributions to our students and district. Ryan Courtwright donated $20. We have to the volleyball team, we have the Rotary Club, who has also donated 2 boxes of snacks to Highland Elementary from the Stuff to Bus. So thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8.
Next, I would like a motion to, I would like to recommend the following personnel recommendations.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Sudonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Item B.
To authorize the Board of Elections to use Woodland Kempton at no cost for the pre-election for November 3rd, 2025, for the public voting on November 4th, 2025.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Sudonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Item C.
The next item is a resolution for authorizing the execution of delivery of master electric energy sales agreement between the district and the Power Force Schools endorsed electric supplier Engo Resources LLC.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Can you explain that?
So this is an agreement that provides us with a cost saving for the district. And it's only, even though it lists all of our schools, it is really an agreement for the field house so that we can have energy services over at that particular building.
Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Sudonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Item 9.
Wish to recommend that the Board of Education approve the treasurer's consent agenda.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I would like to update everyone on the financial report. It was not the one I discussed a couple meetings ago. I was not able to get it working the way I wanted to, so I kind of started changing the format, and so I'm able to get that report looking the way I would like it to look. So a little bit different than last couple of times. Just make it look more professional and more like a report. So you have a cover page with the month that it is and the treasurer's at the time. This is a very common looking document. As the months grow into the fiscal year, these will get bigger, and then this actually will start to turn into projections as I'm able to get some data to see roughly how much we're spending each month and what it looks like on a monthly basis to project where we're going to be ending on our forecast. But this is our May forecast for FY26 currently. So even revenues up top, expenditures on the bottom, and ending cash. So right now, as of July, we are at 98 days of cash, which is always a nice daily cash balance to see, because we're expected to be at 56 days of cash by the end of the fiscal year. And then this is comparing July of fiscal year 25 to July of fiscal year 26. So last fiscal year versus this fiscal year, our revenues and expenditures, and it correlates to these numbers up here. Just giving you a side-by-side review of the 2 fiscal years of the month. And then I kind of made it more of like a report. So you're not just looking at numbers, and you could read to understand the numbers. So if there's anything, at the times you like or dislike, feel free to shoot me an email and I could look at changes to make things look more appealing. And if things look too clustered, please let me know. But I kind of like the way this looked, as it kind of made sense of what those numbers meant that you're looking at. And then comparing the documents above of revenue and expenses, instead of just seeing the two bar charts, you see kind of like in those sections of where we're comparing the data. And then it goes into the cash position report and then the check register. So now the check register will be in the financial report. So it's one less thing to have to vote on. It'll just be included in this report, so instead of having 3-page report, now it's going to be more of at least on this one, 80 pages. So it'll be a longer report, but the same information that we board approve on a regular basis.
Thank you, Mr. Galeno. Any questions?
I just so as far as the consent agenda, is it just A that we're going to be consenting to?
No, it'll be items B through D.
Then why do we have a section to vote on each of those sections? If we're motioning to approve the consent agenda, why do we need to vote on B and?
That's just a clerical error.
So that shouldn't be there.
Nope.
Okay. So we're only voting once.
Correct. On items B through D.
And that's going to include C, because C has a section where we're going to vote. And then D, there's nothing there as far as, but A through D. So what we're consenting to is A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, so we're doing B, the minutes, C, the financial report, and D, the annual reporting of commercial paper.
Well, you're saying this section where it's showing that we're going to be voting on each one was done incorrectly.
That's correct.
So I can.
Yes.
We're not voting 4 times. We're just voting once.
That's correct.
Okay. Because I guess this would go under financial report. I don't know where else I can ask this, but I've asked, and I really whittled it down to find out what the cost of the district was for Newzella and Savis. When can I get that information?
You said Newzella and Savas?
Yep. SAVVASNEWSELA.
What exactly are you looking for with Savis? Because Savis.
The cost, what it's cost the district.
So what I've explained in the past is that Savis is a company and it contains several different curriculums. Is there a certain curriculum that you're looking for under
I'm just
Savis?
wanting to know what we're paying for Savis. What is the amount of the check that we write to Savis? That's all I want to know. Oh, take all of them, all the curriculum that we buy from them.
Okay.
I could have those numbers by the end of the week for you.
All right.
And Newzella is often free, so I'm not sure if you're going to have anything.
Well, they do have a free version, but I want to see if we have that or the paid version, because there is a free version. I think it's called Newzella Lite, as a matter of fact.
Any other questions? I appreciate the new financial report and the narrative piece of it rather than just the numbers, so thank you.
Yeah, I try to keep it short and sweet, but enough information where you understand what's going on. I don't want to bore anyone to death while putting too much information, so they're not really reading the full document. And then I do just want to comment on number D. This is a annual reporting. The board needs to approve it, authorize before interim funds can be invested in those expanded options, while the treasurer must complete state-approved certification training to meet statutory requirements. Our district utilizes Red Tree Investments to manage and execute the investments, not the treasurer directly. This ensures compliance, professional oversight, and responsibility stewardship of the district funds. So just a procedure thing that we have to include by the August 31st. So.
Anything further? Roll call, please.
Keys Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Siudonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Item 10.
I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the resolution as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
And I do want to say this will be on our organizational meeting moving forward every year, just so it gets on a regular basis of this resolution.
That was my question. Why wasn't it done in January?
It doesn't have to be. Just trying to find a rhyme or just now following a more cohesive meeting date that it'll always fall on.
So would we be looking to, shouldn't this, or could this date be, well, I don't know when our January planning meeting would be, but wouldn't that be more appropriate? It would go from July 1st to January, wherever that first Tuesday of the month in January.
Yeah, I was trying to get it on this calendar year to follow the board, because since the board meetings follow a calendar year, I just wanted to get it in this calendar year. But yes, moving forward, it'll follow on the organizational meeting, which has to happen in January.
So would there
before
be,
the 15th of January.
would there be issues that if this were approved, that it says June 30th of 2026, that it could not be amended to coincide with our January calendar?
Yeah, that's just saying it's for the period, this period. So, yeah. So what this
That's
resolution,
almost through an entire school year.
this resolution is following the fiscal year.
So it's written for the fiscal year and then moving forward, starting with our January organizational meeting, which hasn't been scheduled yet, it will be moved to the calendar year.
Yep. And any time that we would add or change banks, this will need to be updated.
Okay.
And this is basically telling us that you're being the depositor,
Yes.
and at least my definition of a depositor refers to an individual entity who places money or other valuables into a bank account for safekeeping. And then section 3313.51, it does mention if the treasurer is incapacitated, the board may appoint an officer of the school district to sign the checks. Now, is that something that's done at the point of incapacitation, or is it done prior to that?
I think that would be as is basis.
On as is, okay. Yeah, because it says here, and it looks like this was back in 2006, depository agreements adopt a resolution every year. So we hadn't done one this year. Do you know if one was done last year, by any chance?
I do not know that off the top of my head,
Okay.
Mr. Sheehan.
So this resolution is just simply stating that you are the depositor. So you're able to take money in, put money out.
Yep. And also just enter into agreements with said banks.
Okay. All right. Now, nowhere do I see here that it restricts or has any restrictions on an elected board member from having any kind of conversation with our representative banks that are holding onto our money. Is that said anywhere in here?
That would be more on the depository agreements with who they would speak with each bank.
So with a depository agreement, a board member can be added to that with the banks.
That's
Possibly.
essentially unheard of, Mr. Sheehan. Our role is a governance role, and talking to the bank is very much in the weeds of day-to-day operations, which is under the treasurer's job description, not a board member's.
I'm just going to add that's not really relevant to the agenda item.
That's very relevant. We're looking at approving a resolution. Give me strength. So what you're saying is an elected board member has no ability, opportunity to talk to the people that are holding our money. Is that what you're saying?
Mr. Sheehan, we addressed that that is not in the resolution. Any further discussion of that is off agenda item. Roll call, please.
No, you need to, hold on a second. You need to it's not called a point of order. You cannot just move forward. You have to
Call the question.
call the question. So there
It
needs
is-
to be a vote, and there needs to be a motion and a vote.
I move we call the question.
Second.
Roll call on calling the question.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
No,
Theodonik,
Aye.
Wind,
Aye. Proceed to roll call, please, on this item.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
no,
Theodonik,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Moving on to our discussion items this evening. Our first item is to look at several board meeting dates. Our treasurer is not available on September 8th or December 15th, but our meeting will not have to be moved those days as long as we appoint a treasurer pro tem during those meetings. Our October meeting, we need to look at potentially changing. Mr. Galano, could you explain the reason for that?
Yeah, with the new budget bill with the state, they moved the 5-year forecast due dates. So they were due at the end of November and May. They are now due on the 15th of October and in February. So we had to look at moving the October date just because they're kind of early, and the 6th is kind of too early, and the 20th is obviously too late.
So would the board prefer to move our meeting, our first meeting of the month to October 13th, or potentially our second meeting of the month to the 13th?
I just want to get some clarity. So the state told you, again, what? Did the state tell you?
When the 5-year forecasts have to be board approved, they were normally the end of November
Yeah.
and the end of May.
And when did you get this notification?
That was in the approval of the budget bill. If you've been following along.
And,
the state.
all right, and they're not giving you any leeway here, any gratis for this year? So it's like do or die? So they're essentially giving you a month to say, hey, you got to get it in 2 weeks earlier?
Yep.
That holds for every school district. That's a state legislation. It's not something just for us.
So then why wouldn't we, if that is the case, why wouldn't it be on the 6th? If the 20th is too late?
It just gives me more time to work on the 5-year forecast.
The 6th is too early,
Or the 20th, you said is too late.
and the 20th is too late, correct?
So then why is that an option here? Why are we?
We need
oh,
to decide
saying
whether
it
to
It has to be
move-
on the 13th is what you're saying.
Right, we need to decide whether to move the meeting from the 6th to the 13th, or the meeting that is currently scheduled on the 20th to the 13th.
I see. So one is going back, one would be going ahead. Okay.
Just
So this is based on the state saying, hey, you have to have things in by October 31st?
15th.
I'm not available on October 13th, just so you're aware.
Oh,
I'm out of town for work. I'm sorry.
okay. Is everyone else available on the 13th?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
the 13th is a holiday.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that-
not for the school, correct?
not for the school. The school takes the Friday off.
Yeah.
Is that like Columbus Day or something?
Mhm.
All right. President's Day, Columbus
Can
Day.
we do the 14th?
That would work for me. Others?
Works for me as well.
I'm still out of town.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Mhm.
October 14th,
Mr. Sheehan, are you available on that day?
6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And is this would still be a regular meeting, it's just his issue is going to be on there for us to vote on?
That's correct.
So we're moving the 6th, the meeting from the 6th to the 14th, correct?
Or the 20th to the 14th. I don't know that we decided which of those meetings we're moving. Does anyone have a
I'd
preference?
rather move the 6th.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So we will move the meeting on the 6th to the 14th. And Mr. Galano, if you could determine location, that one was scheduled for City Hall. We will have to figure out if that is available or if we need to move that location.
Yep, we'll look at that.
Okay. The other one that we need to look at rescheduling is our November 17th meeting. Actually falls during Capitol Conference, which pretty much all of our administration will be attending, and I think several of our board members. So that could potentially be moved. Let's see, which meeting of the month is that? Is that our second or first? That's our second.
That's our second.
Okay, so we could move to, that would be the 24th.
Yep.
I have a couple of questions on that. Why wouldn't that have been known when we made our calendar on the 25th? We seem to be making changes to this calendar, and I thought that's what we do in January is we vote on the calendar. And we're making these changes on the calendar. And plus, I think when I was questioning expenses by administrators, I think, Felicia, you mentioned that you guys kind of rotate who goes to these events. So wouldn't there be somebody who went to the Capitol Conference last year that could sit in this year so that we can still have our meeting on the 17th?
Mr. Sheehan, I believe several
board members
members
will
of
be-
the board are planning
because
to
the
be at
Capitol
Capitol
Conference.
Conference.
And I would like to know that. Who on the board is planning to go?
I am planning to go.
I'm planning to go.
We still have a majority.
Your superintendent will be gone.
And the treasurer.
And is there no one pro tem that can sit in on that?
Not for the superintendent and treasurer.
That's too many people absent.
Yeah.
Would
I
the
haven't
20,
looked at it yet, so I
And-
can't say either way.
okay. Part of the reason for having to reschedule this is typically the Capitol Conference falls during the second week of November, and for some reason this year it falls during the third week. So I don't know what that change was about with OSBA, but it ends up not being scheduled the week that we had anticipated that it would be.
And that wasn't available during the time of the creation of our calendar.
Does everyone have availability on the 24th?
Yes, that works for me.
I'm available.
Okay. So am I, Mr. Sheehan? Are you available on the
I'd
24th?
say as far as right now. Now, I just have another, I don't know, this November 17th is after the election. Is there any issue in the fact that there could be board members that are attending this that aren't board members anymore on the 17th? And that the school is now paid?
Board
for that
members are
person.
board members until January, sir. Okay, so the 17th, we'll move to the 24th. We'll have to determine location availability for that one as well.
And Franca and I are working on a schedule for next year. And we're trying to make sure that we look at all possible dates that might be conflicting ahead of time so we could stop this date changing on a basis.
Mhm.
So
I mean, there was no predicting that the budget bill would include our 5-year forecast changing deadlines. So we will anticipate what we can.
Well, too, I'd like to throw out there, let's do one a month. And then it gives us a lot more flexibility.
Mr. Sheehan, we tried the once a month pattern a couple of years ago under our previous board president and ended up calling way too many special meetings that year in order to ensure that district business was done in a timely manner. That's certainly something we can revisit when we talk about next year's calendar, and we can have that conversation then.
yeah, Franca and I could put together 2 drafts, one with one board meeting a month and then one with 2 board meetings a month like we currently have been doing.
And just to, for your information, Mr. Sheehan, I was heavily in favor of the one meeting per month, and I watched what happened, and it was unfortunate because the community was then unable to have prior advance notice for meetings. It would, if we have just 3 days for a special meeting, it was happening too often, and for transparency's sake, I think it's best for them to be notified. It's easier to cancel a meeting than to add.
And we had left it open this year to cancel any meetings that didn't have a sufficient agenda. And I don't think we've ended up doing that to this point. Okay, moving on, item B, Ms. Suldonic.
I just wanted to give a quick update because I know that we as a district did a lot of preparation for the anti-DEI measures from the Department of Education, and I just wanted to make sure that to note that a federal judge has blocked schools from being able to have funding withheld because of DEI measures. There's no action that we're taking at this point, but I just wanted to make sure that was, something that people are aware of that's happened. That it's on a federal level.
Thank you for the update. We certainly discussed that quite a bit. Anything?
Now, but that doesn't, we have funds that are still frozen, correct?
Correct. But that's not the same. We have funds frozen from title, but that has nothing to do with like being held as a penalty for.
Right, because we did everything that we were
required
asked to do.
Correct. That the funds that they were threatening to withhold is for districts that don't comply with their anti-DEI measures, which we complied with everything and we're not having anything withheld. The federal judge has just blocked the ability from the Department of Education to actually withhold funds from anybody that's not following that order. That's all. And anything that we would be to do in the future would only be at the recommendation of our legal counsel. So, but I just thought it was important since we've talked about DEI measures and the federal implications ad nauseum. So I thought it was important to add that there's something going the opposite direction now.
Thank you. Any further questions on that item or comments? Okay, moving on to item C, Ohio checkbook. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes, again, this was a resolution on September 8th, 2015. What is the holdup? Why aren't we actively engaged in Ohio checkbook?
Yeah, when I looked at the minutes, it was more of a just authorizing the treasurer to use it. I do have a meeting scheduled with a fellow colleague to go over the process of that so I could see what it all entails from start to finish.
I believe when we've talked about this before, it did just say we may authorize the treasurer to use it, but not requires him to use it.
That was my understanding as well. So in understanding all of that start to finish steps, then you will be able to give us an idea of how much labor that will entail from your office.
Yeah, and see what actually it pulls for the reports as well.
But now this says here, it was moved by Armstrong, seconded by Bonacci, that the Board of Education approve the resolution regarding the Stow-Munroe Falls School Board Education participation in Ohio checkbook. It says resolution, doesn't say we're just.
Do you have the resolution in hand?
I have the minutes from the meeting.
Well, that doesn't indicate the content of the resolution, though.
All right, well, then I'd like to see that then, where I don't know where it is. I mean, I talked to the board members or a board member that was on here, and yeah, if that's the case, I'd like to see it. I mean, I'm just reading resolution, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeas and no nays, and motion carried.
And that was on October 18th, you said?
September 8th, 2015, under new business. 220.15, ohiocheckbook.com.
Okay. I have to go back to the physical minutes we have at the board office and look that back up. But whatever I
Because
have.
we were on it, and then several years ago, we were mysteriously deleted off of it.
Yeah, so once I find what was in the minutes for that resolution number you stated, Mr. Sheehan, I will share that with the board.
Thank you.
Can you give me a timeline just so I'm kind of not bugging you?
By the end of the week.
Anything further on that topic? Okay, let's move on to item D, policy updates. Mr. Sheehan?
Right. So I couldn't find it, and so I'm not going to hold you to it, but as far as getting what they were, I mean, as I'm looking at the different ways that administrators and teachers can get their money to go to events, there appears to be an administrative guideline. I don't know if you were making a handbook, there's documentation for approval. There's policy 3440. It just seems very confusing to even get numbers, and there's really no numbers on these. The closest that this says, and this is 3440, they will exercise, professional staff will exercise the same care incurring travel expenses that a prudent person would exercise in traveling on personal business and expending personal funds. Now, in reference to that, and you can check these numbers, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but at least in my research from 23 to 24, there was about $113,311 spent on hotels, cell phones, food, and travel reimbursement. And this number here in 2025 was even bigger. It was about 158,000. We're not even done with 25. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you mentioned you were doing a handbook or revising this, or am I correct in that, or did I hear that wrong?
I think the only one I was referring to was the credit card handbook. I don't remember talking about a
All right.
development handbook.
So when we throw numbers out like we just did, we need to be very careful when we're talking about staff and travel, because some of those travel include athletic events, some of them include professional development, some of them include our students that were here today going for extracurricular activities. And so we're talking about several different funds. Some of those are federal funds, some of those might be general fund. So we need to, when we say things like that, we need to be able to equate exactly what we are distinguishing in that amount.
Sure. No, that makes sense. But again, just let's just say that's what it is. It has to do with professional development, and these numbers are whatever they are. Kind of just being out there, I happened to get an opportunity to talk to a teacher, a 20-year teacher in Pittsburgh at a high school, and just recently a 3-year teacher, second grade teacher in Maryland. And I just happened to ask them, what do you guys do? And both of them had said to me that their schools will strictly pay for the course and everything else is on them. I think that might be cleaner, but I don't even know how to entertain that or how we would get into that discussion to say, make that change or to adjust it. Because as I said before, there's a big difference in, say, somebody going to a training and spending that happens to be $400 for a hotel, and somebody's only spending $150 or whatever, or somebody's driving back and forth. I mean, I think it would just make it cleaner, and it certainly will save the district some money.
Are you asking for teachers and staff to pay for their own travel expenses for professional development?
That's what these teachers do in Pittsburgh and Maryland.
Just to be clear, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, they pay for the
that's what you're
course.
asking for.
The school pays for the course, and it's on. The one teacher went to Las Vegas. She had to pay for her flight, her hotel, her food. The other teacher went to, I think it was in Maryland, and she had to pay for her gas and hotel and food. And then they, I think we do here, but they did have a process where they had to apply for that far enough ahead so that it could get approved. But, again, just something to consider. because again, just the disparity in courses and classes and things that are available that we want to encourage to, but again, I always had to pay for my own. I didn't have taxpayers paying for my continuing education. I went because I wanted to become better. So again, I don't know how to even entertain this as something to talk about, or do we just kind of forget about it and continue on what we're doing?
Mr. Sheehan, policy is within the board's governance role. If you have specific changes in policy that you would like to see, you are welcome to work on making those changes in consultation with legal counsel to ensure that whatever changes you are suggesting are commensurate with not only the law, but our collective bargaining agreements. And then once you have a proposal of a changed policy, you can bring it in front of the board.
And so that I'm clear here, based on what I'm talking about, where it's under job-related expenses 3440, is that entail what I was just referring to as far as the reimbursement of those types of things? Or is there another policy or something else that would kind of dictate how the staff is reimbursed for this kind of stuff? Is that the one I can zero in on? And if you need to check, I mean, again, you can tell me by Friday, but I don't want to go through all this and say, well, there's policy number 6,000 that says this,
Mr. Sheehan, that's part of the work that a board member does when we suggest changes to policy, is do that background research. And again, consult with our administration and legal counsel to look at the implications of the changes that you are suggesting. So that is certainly work that can happen.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm asking. So I guess you just want me to wander. Huh? I'm asking the people that would maybe have that answer.
I
But
am
anyways,
explaining to you, sir, the process that a board member goes through in order to suggest a change in policy.
You can access all of the policy from our website too. So if you have questions about what policies exist, it's right there for you to look at.
So you're in the correct policy, but what you're asking to be explained out is an administrative guideline. Those things that you are referencing would not be in the policy. The policy gives you a general overall idea of exactly what is supposed to happen. You are in the correct policy, but what you're asking for is an administrative guideline, which is not approved by the board. Those day-to-day operation and procedural things happen at the administration level.
so then in my research, I'm looking for the administrative guideline.
Yes. So you would be looking for the administrative guideline, which would coincide the same number. The number would be the same.
The
34440. Mhm.
Okay. See, that wasn't so hard.
Anything further on that subject? Item E, outstanding lunch fees. Mr. Galana, do you have some background information for us on this one before we open discussion?
Yes. Okay. So this has been an ongoing issue for, I think, all schools, probably in the United States, not just Stow-Munroe Falls City School Districts. But the one thing we started to do this current fiscal year, which is fiscal year 26, is anybody who had a negative lunch balance at the end of fiscal year 25, we converted that into a school fee. When these fees are paid, they will go back to the food service, which is at 006. And then below is an example of what someone would see in pay schools if they owe an outstanding lunch balance from a prior fiscal year. Why are we doing this? We cannot charge a student more than $1,000. So if that student were to hit $1,000, let's say by January, we cannot charge them anymore. So we're really losing the data of how much that student is technically owed back to the school. So anytime that will happen, we will convert that fee of $1,000 into a school fee so we could get a true accounting of how much that student is costing the district and how much they will have to pay back. So like I said, this is really to just try to have a more accurate of accounting to make sure like, hey, we're trying to get as much money back as we possibly can from these students who are racking up some pretty hefty school lunch bills. And then some policy considerations, we're looking at policy 6152, student fees, fines, and charges, and kind of exploring the student participation in extracurricular activities if fees remain outstanding. So kind of like, hey, until your fees are paid, you cannot participate in certain things. This is still in the talks. It has not been submitted through legal or upper administration, just kind of throwing some ideas out there. And then as of June 25th, we were roughly at $100,000. So as of right now, there are technically like no outstanding lunch fees when it comes to food service.
Wait, what was that last statement?
It's just talking about like so right now it'll be like our lunch service was kind of be like, it was wrote off down to zero. We're just tracking it a different way.
So those outstanding fees have all been converted.
Yes.
So they
Or
won't
will
show
be.
up under where parents expect to see lunch account balances. They will show up with school fees.
That's correct. Yep. And
So,
then
so you mean we got that money?
no,
So it was written off, so we lost that money
we were writing it to a school fee.
to the
So-
individual student.
Correct. Yep. We're still accounting for it just in a different way.
Just out of curiosity, what does a lunch cost?
I believe elementary school is, we just went over this. I think high school is $350. Middle school principal here? No. I think it's,
Well, let's say it's $5. That's a lot of lunches to get to 1,000. Is there something we can do so that it doesn't become 1,000 before we take some action?
yeah. So we do send out invoices regularly through email. And then once they hit a certain dollar amount, those do get sent out physically to the houses. Not every month or every week, but I think several times a year we do send those out.
Because the other issue is, I don't want a kid to not eat.
Oh, correct.
So how do we balance that? How do we balance the one who's coming in and going for free and not paying for it and could very well bring a lunch, but it's easy, versus when we get to it, just $1,000 in lunch fees just sounds an enormous amount of money before there's some action taken.
And usually,
I said $100, we should be saying, hey.
yeah, and we don't wait till it's at $1,000.
Okay.
Angie, the food service director, does a great job at trying to get as much money as we possibly can. When the invoices do go out, we do see some payments come in through central office for the lunch fees to pay those off.
Have you tracked like percentage wise? Is it 30%, 40%? What's been the history? Do we have a history of if we have $100,000 of outstanding lunch fees in 2020, we recouped X. In 21, we recouped this, just to see what's realistic. It's great we put it on the school fees, but I mean, you could wait till a kid's a senior and hold back their diploma, right?
Yeah, so that's what we don't have that data, but that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent it by the time they were to leave elementary school and move to a different school, that all their fees are being paid at a regular time. And with some of the explorations that I'm looking into, hopefully that will help get the money that's owed to the district faster. Because you are right, when you are a senior and you do have a trending of, your fees aren't being paid, you could rack up a pretty hefty bill when you're walking across that stage.
But I'm saying, do we do that? I mean, would we hold back a
Yep,
diploma? No, a diploma as far as if there's a huge outstanding debt owed to the school.
Yeah, there's only so much we can do, but
I don't know what the rules are.
We do try to get as much money as we possibly can anytime. And we have worked with some families who kind of go on a payment plan. So that way we are working with everybody to ensure we are getting funds.
Now, if you see something that's just way out of whack, do we do more than just sending them a letter? I mean, is there at some point we have a sit down and a kind of a come to Jesus meeting here,
Yeah.
and try to understand, maybe there's something we don't know and we can kind of help out rather than just racking up more lunch fees every day?
The food service supervisor a couple years ago implemented a system. If once it hit X amount, an invoice will go out. Once it hit an X amount, the principal would call to offer some services. Maybe the counselor could call and talk to that family if, hey, what's going on? How can we help? And get some more information on what's possible to help the situation out.
And then I'm guessing too, if a kid's not paying, I mean, isn't there a free lunch or why wouldn't this kid be on that program if they're having issues with paying for their lunch?
You would be surprised, Mr. Sheehan. Sometimes people just don't read their emails and forget to pay the bill, but we do not withhold lunches. So the kid
No,
is
I'm not talking
still-
about withholding them, but
What I'm saying is the kid can still have a lunch. They just can't add the extra items that come along with it. And our food services, we're sending out information to families weekly in regards to bill payments.
but if you,
And the application, which allows families to get a free lunch or reduced fees, is completely voluntary for the families to fill out. We can't compel that. That is a voluntary form that families have to choose to fill out to qualify for that.
but is that ever part of the conversation? Saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, we see your $500 and there seems to be a problem here. Have you considered the free lunch? Here's the form. Let's fill it out.
Well, the conversation is had, but as we shared when we talked about federal updates, we encourage everyone to complete the application, whether you think you qualify or not. You fill out the application, you may qualify, but we get people who opt not to fill the application out, and for whatever reason. But we can't force a person to fill the application out.
I just want to speak to something I heard you say about withholding extracurriculars, and I just want to voice that that's something that I would be very, very, very heavily against. I don't feel comfortable with students being held responsible for their parents' bills. So I just want to say that right away. I don't know where that came from or what discussion that's been, but I just want to put that out there right now.
Yeah, some of the stuff, I was talking to other treasurers, like what they're trying to do things. And there's a lot we can try to do to try to get the money that's owed to the school district.
And I understand. I mean, it's a balance, but that just caught my ear of something I don't really like.
The other concern is we can't hold the diploma, but I know we hold the transcript. So then we're preventing that child from any successful future because then they can't go to college because the college won't admit them without an official transcript. So we got to figure out a way to do this without impacting our students' futures. I don't know what the answer is, but it can't be withholding a transcript.
Agreed.
Now, again, I don't want to be the mean guy, but what about a kid who leaves, who transfers, and they have the outstanding? What's the leverage there as far as holding their records until?
There's a state law. You can only hold so much. I think it's $2,500. That's the limit. But you have to release the records, and most records we have to release due to us being a public education institution.
Again, we cannot get in the way of that student's future and that student progressing because of money owed by the family.
Yeah, once we have more on some of the policy considerations, it'll, obviously would have 3 readings on that after talking to legal and some other discussions. So you'll be with us along the way through this entire process.
How does that play into the conversation that we had before about the school, about the lunch, about nutrition services being self-sustaining?
So I could probably look at how much. So they are very self-sustaining. I think last I looked, they had well over $1 million in the bank. So it's not going to hurt them, but it's money that we've spent with whether it's federal dollars spent or some tax dollars spent to get some of that food in there. Because at some point, nutritional services kind of were always in the red. General fund would always have to subsidize that. We saw a change with COVID when they did free lunch for everybody for a couple of years. So with some of those balances, we have a healthy balance through that. We are going to be going through an audit, so they will probably tell us we have to spend down some of that money, which is nice because we could use it on new equipment, furniture needs for the cafeteria. So it's nice to have that cushion to help where in a fund where it was never sustaining.
Okay, thank you, because I know there'd been some questions from the community on how those two things could be true at the same time, that a department is self-sustaining, but there's also a lunch debt.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Anything further on this topic?
And thank you for your input.
Thank you. Okay, next item, F, cell phone policy. Dr. Gould, I know some of this was included in the back to school information. Did you want to give us some background on this one?
Yes, I can share some background. In February, we passed our cell phone policy. In February of 2025, we passed our policy recommendation for what is called personal communication devices. So that's how it's referred to in the policy. After we approved the policy, we knew that we would have to come up with a cell phone procedure for July 1st of 2025. That then changed at the state. And so what we started to do is we started to gather information. So a survey was shared with community, staff, and with students. And we ended up receiving 536 responses. Everyone didn't respond to this one, but it was really a total of 538. And so you can see across the board the number of people who did participate in the survey. You see we have administrators, city leaders, coaches, community members, entrepreneurs, first responders, people who were in partnership with us. We had student teachers, long-term subs, and we even had somebody who was a former prosecutor and attorney who put down exactly what they did. And so from a school building perspective, you'll see that we have 538 responses here. We even sent this to Holy Family, which is our non-public partner as well, to kind of get a feel to make sure that we were covering both public and non-public bases with the survey. And so just recently, this is the legislative update. It is called Be Present, Be Engaged, Be Phone Free. And so what it outlines is all of the information in regards to the cell phone policy as of today. And it is to be implemented by January 1st of 2026. It defines what an instructional day is. And an instructional day is included the formal instruction that is in a classroom, but it is also about supervised activities such as transitioning between classes, recess, meal periods, of course, which would be lunch, and field trips. So any supervised activity is what they are considering the instructional day. Now, the adoption of this policy will happen January 1st, 2026, which is really not feasible for schools because we start school in August and count that as a school year. So what I've done is to take a look at our current policy, or I call it procedures more so, and how we look at using our cell phone. And so this information, and also you can click the policy button there and you can see the current policy that the board adopted in February. So our current cell phone procedures that we will continue to follow for right now. In our elementary, intermediate, and middle school, cell phones are placed in their locker. They are not used during the school day, and that will continue to happen. At the high school is where we see a little difference that takes place. Currently, our students use their cell phones and are permitted to use them as they are transitioning in the cafeteria and during the study hall. We will continue to do this as of right now. Cell phones are banned during the instructional period. When students go into the classroom, they are either placed in their book bag or what we call the cell phone caddy. It looks like a shoe bag. And they are numbered, and the student will place their cell phone in the caddy as they walk in teachers did this all last year. They gave a lot of great feedback about how this worked, you know, seeing kids being more interactive in classes, all of those type of things. The reason we have left this in place as of right now is because the high school is involved in a 6 compact school district. We have students that are traveling to 5 other schools in that compact. Each compact district that I've spoken to, all the superintendents, they are following.
Test. Okay.
Testing. Okay. Sorry about that. And so we have collaborated, and we will all be following this particular policy, where they will continue to be permitted in the hallways, cafeteria, and study hall for now. We will work toward a total compliance, I'll say, I don't even want to say compliance, total look at the instructional day. And we will work with our families and our students so that they know what that will look like before January 1st of 2026. We did not want students to travel to the other schools, and there's one policy in place at this school, another policy in place there, and students are trying to figure out how to follow that. So that's why all the superintendents met. We came into agreement with this, and this is still in compliance. We're just not at the level of where we are totally stricken during the day. Now, in the policy, there are exceptions that come with this. There is a medical condition, students who have an individualized education plan or in their 504, they would be allowed to have their phone. And that's why we say, if you don't have it in the caddy that's in the room, then you would have it in your book bag because you may need it for a medical reason. And so that is still part of this policy. The other thing that we had to outline is also what the consequences would be if there's a disruption during the instructional day. And so worked with the high school team, and here is an outline that would be assigned depending on the severity of the violation. So you can see as we go through letters A through H here, we want to make sure that we are really taking a look at the severity of the incident. And so someone, not turning it over or something like that, we don't want to jump down to an expulsion when we have other steps that could be taken for that particular infraction. And so that has been shared with families, and that's where we are currently with the cell phone procedures. Questions?
Mr. Sheehan?
Yeah, aside from, and I really appreciate that because I was a little scared when I read this. I'm going, man, I think we could go a lot further. All right, but you're saying we're handcuffed because of the compact is basically what's kind of handcuffing us right now because we need to get clarity.
Well, we want to get clarity, and a lot of times when we, like this policy, like at first we were July 1st, we had a hard stop, and now it's January 1st, we got a hard stop. We want to see, as we move slowly toward this, if there's really going to be any changes. Because right now, this is the first time we've seen the instructional day actually defined for us, and also to include things like field trips. That has never been there before. So now it's any supervised activity within the school day.
And I would add that that's not a matter of being handcuffed by the 6 to 10
No.
contract. This is a matter of taking our students' experiences into account and ensuring that our students who travel to other districts and students from other districts who travel here are not confused about what the policies are and facing disciplinary
Correct.
consequences because of that
Right.
confusion.
And that's why the superintendents, we all got together to have a conversation about this policy, because we don't want students impacted as they do travel across our different schools.
Yeah, because I would like to see what we're implementing at the elementary, intermediate, and middle school be the same thing at the high school. But I see that it is a little bit more complicated to do that. And when I say handcuffed, meaning that in a perfect world, if all the 6 schools had the same policy, that would make it really simple. But the likelihood of that is probably slim to none, that all 6 would have the same.
You know, sometimes it just depends on
Yeah.
what the community,
Okay.
and that was the whole point of us doing the
Right.
survey,
Okay.
to see where we were with that.
Now, the other thing that always kinds of concerns me is, there was the statement here, although our goal is to work with our students. We're the professionals, or you're the professionals.
Mhm.
Is that, I question that,
So I think a lot of times when we say our goal is to work with our students, and I can say that when I did my listen and learn and having a conversation with students, and Avery was part of that, one of the conversations we did talk about was educating students on why things are happening in the schools. Like, many of the students didn't even know that Governor DeWine had proposed this particular policy. So just sharing with them, like, this is where this is coming from, this is where this is headed. And so to have that conversation with them, then they automatically know, so then they can share that out. Like, this is why we're doing these particular things, and here's some ideas. We can't dismiss the student voice.
Well, in that way, they're not thinking, oh, well, this is the principal's idea.
Correct.
Or they have an understanding of
Yeah,
where
and
this is
I was
coming
able
from.
to share that policy with them and actually go over it so that they could, and they were like, oh, we had no idea why we were doing it. But most of them shared that it has not been a problem with them going into the classroom, putting their phones into a caddy. So if there was an emergency event, which is always the thing that comes up, what if there's an emergency and we don't have a cell phone ban? We have a complete cell phone ban. Well, the phone is in the room. And my thing is, you want the educator to be leading the student during that emergency experience. So you want their attention. I would not be thinking about my phone at that time if I had to run and hide. I just would not.
And I know that's been a common concern that
Yes.
I've heard from parents. And just in terms of reassurance, I spoke recently with a board member in another district who, when they implemented this procedure last year, then experienced an emergency situation in their high school. I believe it was a gas leak, but I could be misremembering that. But her comment was that everybody had phones in hand within 90 seconds. And that, if the students needed to communicate to their parents after hearing from staff, that they were pretty easily able to do that and manage that emergency situation. So, just in terms of reassurance, like you said, that phone is
It's in the room.
It's accessible if
Correct.
needed.
Yeah.
So the current policy here, what's your kind of timeline as far as, is it January 1st as far as whether this is going to be tweaked at the high school or changed or amended or?
So I talked with the administrative team, and we talked about starting to move toward the full ban and what that would look like. So do we start with, because when you change a policy in a school mid-year, it's always it's difficult. So when I saw the January 1st date, I was like, ooh, why would they select the middle of the year to change something? So we're going to have to work with our students to kind of talk about, like, this is why we're doing this. And we may start slow. We may start in study hall, that we say there's no cell phones used there. And so we kind of ease those things off of the plate.
I was just going to say that. I go, I don't know why a kid needs a cell phone in study hall. You know, so yeah, I would 150% agree. If we're going to
Yeah.
start, that would be a good place
Yeah.
to start.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be studying. All right, so we're looking at kind of evolving through
Yeah.
this. And now in these, and again, I think this is going to, by making it more like the elementary, intermediate, middle school, this violation protocols or procedures just seems almost overwhelming to a teacher, because like it says, discipline will be assigned depending on the severity of the violation. Who determines that? I mean, you're
Well-
going to get into a he said, she said.
Well, no, right now at the high school, and it's been this way for a while, if there is a situation like that, they immediately text their school administrators, and the school administrator deals with that particular incident. That is not the teacher.
I mean,
And it's
again,
been like that for a while.
I mean, it may be even something, you know, we go to A to H. I mean, maybe condense that down a little bit.
This came from the administrators.
Well, I'm just throwing
This
stuff
was their
out there.
recommendation.
I'm coming to you from a parent who had 5 kids with cell phones, you know, and, okay. All right, well, yeah, this is encouraging, and, you know, I'll be curious to follow as we tweak this and eventually get to a day when the kid will say, I don't have one, I don't need one.
Avery, I know that the high school kind of has been implementing this process over time. Have you heard particular feedback from your fellow students about it?
Yes. So I know a big one is always anxiety, like what if this happens? Because I know me personally, if something happens, I'm going to text my mom, I'm going to call her, anything like that. But also just like, we're such a phone dependent generation, so we're kind of like, yeah, we're always going to assume that it's our principals, the superintendent. That's what I heard a lot last year. And I think with us getting older, being able to see that it's actually the government, I think that's helping, but I still think it's going to be a really difficult change for the high school at least.
I'm looking forward to hearing as things change, what kind of feedback you get from your fellow students about that, and you know, kind of what everybody's noticing about the impacts of changing that phone dependence a little bit. Any further comments or questions on this topic? Okay. Moving on, item G, regarding opt-outs. Dr. Gould, did you have information to start us with on this one?
So on August 4th, I kind of shared this information in regards to opt-out forms. I actually did a demonstration on where you could find them. So this particular information here just shows you exactly what I went over. So if you go to the district website, you are to click the drop-down menu for families. I have an arrow showing that it says forms and applications, so you'll click on that. You will scroll down, and then you will see where the opt-out request form is located. And then you can click on that request form. It is a PD fillable type form. Anything that is not on the form can be added to the bottom of it. There's a space where you can write as well.
And this information is included in the back to school dashboard, correct?
It's included in the dashboard, but it was information that we had shared before the dashboard ever went out.
Okay. Mr. Sheehan?
Right, and I had copies of that. I'm just going by the few people, parents that said, I couldn't find it. You know, so it was more of, we need to make it even simpler. Because, I mean, I look at the forms and applications, and it says, you know, parent forms and information. It says final forms, update any of your information, but there's nothing there that, say, would direct me to the opt-out form. So I'm as a parent, I might be clicking all 3 of those. You know, then it takes you to this form that says opt-out request form. You click it, and then, you know, it opens up to that, to the PDF that they can kind of check off. So I think that the disconnect, at least when I would try to help them, was that first step.
I'm not sure what you're looking at because as soon as you click on forms and applications, it's right on that page. I'm looking at it right now.
It says forms and applications,
And
parent forms and information, and it says,
No, you don't have to click that. If you scroll down on the page that, right here, see that?
all
You
right,
can just
so, all
click
right, yeah,
here.
this is a
So
continuous.
let's go back. Let's
All right,
slow
so
down.
this- All right, so this is a continuous then.
So if you go to families,
Got it.
click on forms and application, and just scroll.
Scroll down.
Yep.
Okay. So,
You can either scroll down or you can pick it up at the
right.
top.
So I guess maybe the other one is moving that but again, I'm just going on the folks that, said, hey, I can't find it. So,
Again, this is included in the back to school dashboard, so parents should have easy access to that information.
Nope, you clicked wrong.
Anything further on this topic?
and then the other issue, which goes to the opt-out form, was the Mahmood versus Taylor. The statement was made that we don't teach that. Well, I got an email the next morning that yes, Stowe does, and it was Lakeview, or it was Kimpton. Kind of what was disturbing, this was a child who opted out. They were taken to their room, to wherever they would take the kids to that opt out, was given a magazine which had the same material in that the parent had opted out in. The child put the material aside with nothing else to do, pulls out her Chromebook and plays games for that 45 minutes or whatever. And in reading the opt-out categories, there is no mention specifically of this Mahmood versus Taylor, where children can opt out of any LGBTQ-related text surveys, curricular lessons in public schools, regardless of that material being presented during the day. None of these mention that, so I think we need to add this.
I'm not going to add that to the form, and I shared why last time. I said that no one has ever come to my office and had a conversation with me in regards to this matter. I also shared that with you.
Yep.
If that person had a problem, then they should have shared that with the building principal and myself, so we could look into that matter further. If they need to opt out of that, they can write it at the bottom, because we will not be able to list every nuance or thing that someone will think that they need to opt out of. That is the reason for the area at the bottom of the form, so that they can write in what that would be.
Well, this one's being very targeted. It's not a generalization.
We do not teach LGBTQIA.
Well, I can tell you the magazine was choices, so we may have to go back and pull that one out.
And if you would have that person give me a call, I would like to really discuss that matter with them, so that we can
I'll try.
discuss it with the building principal.
I'll try.
Anything further on that item? Okay, moving on to item H. Mr. Sheehan, you had some concerns about legal fees. Could you?
Yeah,
Fill
the
us
amount
in.
of money we're spending. I mean, I don't know what we can do. You're looking at upwards of $700,000 at this pace, which is a fraction of what we did last year. And I don't know if that's been addressed as far as how many people are calling the attorneys and, anything. But that's a lot of money to be spending on attorney fees. So I don't know what the answer is. But we can't continue at that pace. I mean, $700,000 is a lot of money.
What have the actual expenses been to this point? Do we have that?
They vary month to month, anywhere from 20 to upwards of $40,000 each month. But it all depends on what's going on, how many public records requests we get. We get a lot of public records requests, and a lot of them not even district community members, which is also just frustrating, as though it is your right. You don't have a stake in the district, yet they keep flooding the inboxes for public records requests. But that's just a small portion of what the fees go to. But there's a lot of things that we're trying to correct and right the wrongs of. And there's some things that just are outside of our control that legal has to weigh in on and provide guidance.
So it's hard to predict how much we will need our legal counsel. I believe that we have put some limitations on who can consult legal counsel.
Yes, we have put limitations in regards to that. But we also have to remember that we did negotiations this year, and we did point that out, that we negotiated with both unions. So that does take up a lot of time as well.
So that was a significant piece of the expenses year to
Yes.
date. We did come to a 3-year agreement, so we won't have to expend legal fees on that for a while, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, not on the negotiating part, but if there are times where each party tends or grievances, or if there's times where we need more clarification on the verbiage of the contract, we will seek out legal counsel on what is the best way to approach each situation that may arise.
Sure.
And I think we also have to remember that we are also coming up with a lot of mandates that have come from federal and state that have not been around in the past, that we have had to really look at a lot of our policies, a lot of those things, and how that will play out within the school district as well. So that has also been a factor. I've been around for a long time, and I've not seen this many things come from state or federal government to impact school districts on a day-to-day.
And I know that's been several of my consultations with legal counsel is looking at those mandates that are coming down and how those impact
Correct.
our district. And again, hard to predict that, especially when it's an unprecedented type of year.
Yeah.
Patrick, is that total correct that Mike said, $750,000? It didn't seem like that was that high to me.
I think that was the,
I'm just going 30,000 times 12.
Okay, so you're just guessing, making it up.
I mean,
What
we're
is it?
into August, so we're on the other side of the year.
Well, again, we can't assume that a month that included federal mandates, state mandates, and contract negotiations is representative of the entire year, every month of the year. So that's a large assumption.
The entire first half of the year has been fraught with federal and state mandates. I'm sure you recall speaking about them multiple times.
Patrick, is it possible to maybe get a breakdown of kind of where those fees are going? Like how much may have been for negotiations, how much we're spending on all these, like these mandates? Not anything specific, but just to kind of get it, put it in, even the, lawsuits or anything else that would come up.
To be able to categorize it?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, that'll just take some time.
I mean, nothing needed like this week, but just to give an idea of where those fees are actually going.
I like that idea. Anything further on this topic? Okay, then we will move on to item 12, which is comments from the audience. At this time, we welcome any additional comments and concerns citizens wish to bring before the Board of Education. All comments must be directed to the entire board and be no longer than 3 minutes. We will listen to and consider your remarks, but there will be no conversation aside from clarifying questions. If you are seeking a direct response or further information, we ask that you submit your request in writing. Please begin your remarks with your first and last name. Press the bottom.
Should be on now. All right. Good evening. So first of all, I want to congratulate the students that were mentioned earlier this evening.
Excuse me, could you give your name, please?
Yes, so sorry. Amy Messmore Jones. I want to congratulate the students that were mentioned this evening. It's wonderful. I also want to say how amazing it is to see the educators so excited for the students to come back to school. It shows that they really care about the students. I also want to thank most of the board for your hard work This is not an easy job. So, thank you. I also highly recommend that a board member review board policy as well as Robert's rules. I think that it is ridiculous to ask educators to pay for their own travel and education. When I was a teacher, my starting pay was $25,000, and that's barely enough to afford a house in this economy. I recommend talking to the teachers in the district and ask if they're willing to pay for their education, travel, etc., etc. Also, the poverty level in Stow is 6.34%, which is approximately 2,130 out of 33,700. I got this data from USA.io. Because of this, I am all for free public school lunches for all, because no child deserves to go hungry. I also hope that our teachers union protects the educators from paying for their own travel and protecting students from not graduating because their families cannot pay for a meal. Thank you.
My name is Marty Simpkins, and the papers that I just am passing out are copies of several of the credit card statements from the past year. They're showing a few things. The fraudulent charges that never showed up disputed on any statement, the January 2025 statement with a significantly lower payment than the minimum payment due. If you look closely, it also shows interest charges on this credit card statement. After reading 15 months of these statements, I truly believe that more oversight is needed. I also do not care that other districts around us do not request credit card statements. I only care about this district and how my money is being wasted. In the past 12 months, $387,000 has been charged on that credit card. That averages $30,000 a month. This district and board have shown there are problems. No one is paying attention to how often this card was being used. I was happy to hear that 20 people no longer have a credit card. I also firmly believe that without the input of people requesting those records, nothing would have changed. Be aware that we are not going to stop asking for records. Trust is earned, and neither the board or the district has earned any trust.
Good evening. This is the first board member I've attended. Quite interesting.
Could you give us your name?
I'm sorry, my
please?
name is Donna Seiler. I
Thank
live
you.
right behind this school. My concern is with Lakeview. I have grandchildren that live with us. My oldest grandchild is attending Lakeview 5th grade this year, and we were given papers from the teacher who has informed us that the upstairs for Team 54 is totally inoperable. And she said their rooms get quite warm and grueling. Now, my question is, we're in Texas weather here. It's very hot. They were told to bring extra water bottles with them. I am not happy about this. School has been out all summer. It doesn't say it broke. It says it's inoperable, which tells me it hasn't been working. I would really appreciate somebody checking on this, why these children, we're talking the whole team. There's 4 classrooms that these children were told to dress accordingly. Do we bring swimsuits and spray bottles? This is horrible. The one homeroom teacher is bringing fans in. She said, that's the best I can do. While you all are sitting in your air-conditioned offices, my grandson is sweating to death, and you can't learn when you're hot. So I'd really appreciate somebody checking in as to why this air conditioning is not working. And Marty comes up and tells me we got credit card bills that are high. Something's not right here. Can we please take care of our schools? Thank you.
My name is Cynthia Curtin, and I'm your new judge at the Stow Municipal Court. I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself so you could put a name to the face. I was appointed by Governor DeWine right after Memorial Day, and I bring 35 years of litigation experience to the bench. And I could go through all that with you, which is quite impressive. But what I really want to talk to you about tonight is I think that our young people need more education on the life consequences that tag along with committing a crime or having a conviction. And some people don't realize that. For example, let me ask you, do you know under what circumstances your driver's license can be suspended? And there are many. Do you know what an enhanceable offense is? And do you know what those offenses are? Do you think that all crimes, all convictions can be expunged? Some can, some cannot. So there are a multitude of what I call tag-along consequences that occur along with a penalty such as a fine or jail time that people don't know about. And I think that if people knew about that, they might think twice before committing a certain act. So I will make myself available to any middle school or high school class that wants to know more about some of these consequences. Because I truly believe that if they knew some of this other stuff, not to mention the stranglehold that court costs can have on you. So I think that if we had more information about this, it might help our young people and make better decisions. I can be easily reached at the Stow Municipal Court if anybody wants to take me up on my offer. So thank you for your time and attention.
My name is Faith Greer, and I would just like to reiterate the concern about the school lunch issue. I think I kind of had to step out of the room for a second, so I missed part of the conversation. But I want to make sure that we're not assuming that kids are willfully not paying for lunches. I mean, when you look at the poverty level and, you know, the concern parents have, I can't imagine somebody would just send their kid to school and not send a lunch or send money or whatever willfully. And if there's any way that we can give kids free lunches, I think we should do that, especially, you know, since the food services are self-sustaining. If there's a way to do it, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'm not seeing any further comments. Let's move on to item 13, executive session under 121.22G1 to consider the employment of a public employee or official. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
East Jenkins.
Aye.
Merlady.
Aye.
Sheehan.
Aye.
Dudonic.
Aye.
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. We are in executive session at 8:09. There may be action afterward. Okay, we are back in open session at 9:19.
I move that we give Dr. Gould the authority to work with the STA to resolve the June 27th, 2025 grievance.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
No.
Theodonic,
Aye.
Wind,
Aye. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
East Jenkins,
Aye.
Merlady,
Aye.
Sheehan,
Aye.
Theodonic,
Aye.
Wind.
Aye. Our meeting is adjourned at 9:20.